Hi there, my name is Joe Young and welcome back to the living room. Today I'd like to share with you probably the single greatest piece of advice I ever received, musically that is. In my musical upbringing and training, there was a life-changing sort of pivotal class that I took. It was a one-day seminar with a musician named Professor Herwig. And I'd love to share that with you because it changed my philosophy professionally and in music. But then as I grew older, I hung on to it and it changed my philosophy in life. And I'd love to share with you how this happened for me. I think this is going to be a really interesting message and I'm excited to tell you about it. So in one sentence, Professor Herwig says his whole entire philosophy of how he plays music is to make others sound better. And I'll give it some context. What he was talking about was when I'm on a bandstand, when I'm on a stage with drummer, bassist, trumpeter, whoever, I'm not thinking about how should I play my instruments well enough for people to like what I'm doing, which is, that's okay, that's kind of standard. He's thinking, how can I make this drummer sound like a better drummer than he was yesterday? How can I make this singer sound like the best that she's ever sung in her life? And he explained how he does this concept. He goes into some detail, and it might sound a little interesting or a little spacey to you, because it did to me. He called it, I use front of the bell consciousness. And what that means, let me slow it down. The trombone, you either have a part that slides, but you also have the bell, which is the front part where the sound comes out of the horn. And he says, when I'm playing the trombone, I'm closing my eyes, and I'm no longer visualizing me behind the trombone. I'm visualizing in my mind, I'm in front of the trombone, looking back at myself. It's kind of an interesting visualization exercise, if you will. And then, what if I was 10 feet in front of myself? What would I sound like? What if I was 20 feet in front of myself? What would I sound like? What if I was in the back of the room with a picture of the entire stage? I could see all the musicians. I could see all the audience members. And this was his visualization exercise for me as the student and for a few of us that were at his seminar. And he said, this is going to do a couple of things incredibly pivotal in your career. One, it's going to take your ego in check. See, no longer, if you're sitting there thinking, how do I make others sound better? And what do I sound like if I'm sitting in the back of the room listening to the entire band? No longer can you be, well, I just hope my solo is great. I'm just waiting for my time to shine. Your whole focus is not about you anymore. Your whole focus is, that drummer's about to take a solo. How can I help him take the best solo he's ever done? And your focus is constantly shifting around the room, and it's never landing on yourself. It's about others. And then he said the second thing this is going to do for you, which you might not expect, is it's going to get rid of stage fright. And it's kind of interesting. I did find this work for me. There is always a little bit of nervousness in front of a camera, or in front of people or whatever. But if you're thinking about yourself, oh, I practiced so hard. I hope I play the right thing. Oh no, my throat feels a little itchy today. What am I going to do? I'm nervous. Then, the stage fright just snowballs on top of you. It grows and it grows and it grows. When you're thinking about other people, when you're thinking less about yourself, weirdly enough, the worries go away. You're thinking, well, okay, my throat's itchy, my fingers are sweaty, I'm not having a great day, but I could probably do something to make that bassist sound like he's having the best day of his life. And it takes the focus off of you, and the pressure goes away. And I could tell you from firsthand experience, it worked. And later on, especially when I began preaching, this message and this philosophy started to come over to me into my mind. I thought, this is a genius lesson for life. We're worried about how we do things right or perfect, but how can we reduce that anxiety? How can we be less critical? How can we be less self-conscious? And I think there's an answer in this lesson. If I'm thinking more about what others need, if I'm thinking about what this picture needs, I might be a little less worried about what I'm doing, just as long as I could be of help, right? And, if you think about it becomes a little bit more like I'm filling a gap. If there's a stage and there's a great song going on, maybe there's just a little gap that would make it a little better. Like the famous Saturday Night Live skit, just a little more cowbell, right? If you haven't watched that, you need to Google it. I know for some people it was before their time. You need to watch this. I just need a little more cowbell, right? And that's the producer saying, man, this song would just hit so much harder if there was just a little more cowbell. Sometimes you have to step back and see, what does this picture need? Maybe it just needs that little thing. And you got two hands and you can hit the cowbell, right? You don't even need to be trained. I think about that in life a lot now. You take a step back. What does this picture need? Think about a family portrait. Actually, sometimes the best thing we can be is just silly. Maybe this situation needs a little silliness, a little fun. If you take a step back, we always know the perfect family portrait always has the kooky uncle or the little kid that's like rolling on the ground and looking weird and sour. It reminded me of a story that just not long ago, I got a school picture. My daughter's school had a class picture, and there was like 10 or 12 kids in this class or whatever. And I laughed so hard when I saw this picture because on one of the pictures in particular, because there were several takes, of course, on one of them particularly, there was every single kid, I swear, was not looking at the camera, was looking somewhere else. One had a sour face, one was looking down, one was looking bored over to the side, one was looking up, one was doing a backflip, one was, I'm sure there was 2 or 3 that were crying. And one kid, this made it genius. One kid was looking right at the camera, smiling perfectly. I thought that just made it, right? That one kid that did that made the other stuff look even better and more hilarious. So, what a cool analogy for life, right? We're all doing something different. Sometimes the picture needs something a little off the beaten path, right? The total uniformity may not be what the picture needs. And you have to kind of have a in-tuneness with your conscience or your intuition or something, a gut instinct to kind of feel out what is the bigger situation around me needing. Maybe you could be that one kid that's just over there picking their nose. I don't know. And, the biggest takeaway for me here is that it creates a freedom for us to be serving and to be functioning in the world around us. Just to hone in on one particular way that this helped me the most, that I take with me through my life, I would say daily to this point. The biggest single takeaway. Going back to the music example, as a student, I was always too quiet on stage. My teachers, my bandmates, regularly, almost weekly, would say, Joe, turn up a little bit. We can't really hear you. Joe, turn up a little bit. Can't really hear you. And I thought, it's my selflessness or my humble upbringing or whatever that would make me want to blend. I don't want to stick out. I just want to support the band, right? But they were saying, come on, turn up, turn up. And one thing Professor Herwig told me, noticing this problem that I had, was, look, if you step back, sometimes you'll see that what the picture needs is a leading voice. Think about that. Sometimes what the picture needs, what the soundscape needs, is something to step into the front. Just being willing to blend and serve and blend and facilitate may not be what the picture needs, may not be. So as I was practicing this, he said, look, Joe, sometimes what the song needs is a blazing, face-melting solo from the guitar, from an electric guitar. So turn that boost pedal on, turn the distortion on, and start shredding. That's an interesting thing, isn't it? And what I noticed that for my professional life, just to stay there for a second, was I never had volume issues ever again. No one ever told me to turn up or turn down. I would say rarely. I would say once every 100 times I played. Because I wasn't thinking about me. Oh, am I blending? No. What does the picture need? Sometimes it needs a face-melting solo, right? Rock and roll in the free world. Let's go. So what a wonderful blend here. When your ego's in check, you're not there for yourself. Your confidence can go up, but then it helps you recognize when the time is needed that you need to lead. So stepping forward is sometimes the most selfless thing you can do. Sometimes the most serving thing you can do to the picture around you. So I really feel like, look at this world, right? What do we need in this world? Sometimes is it really selfless? Is it really the most holy thing we can always do to just disappear into the sea of people and sit on the church doorstep and pray all day long? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but God, if you ask me, I'll just be honest. This world needs more godly leaders, doesn't it? We're waiting for those people to arrive. We all agree on this. Who's going to step forward? Who's going to look at this picture and go, you know what? If I'm really thinking about make others shine, maybe I should step forward and take some initiative. And even in my personal life, I don't do this perfectly well, but what a beautiful sentiment. What could I do as a family man to make my kid shine? Not about me am I a perfect parent? Just what can they do to be the happiest kid they can be? And what can I do? This is even probably more challenging. What can I do to make my wife shine? Not about my career and my ventures or my project and my creativity. Oh, I need to think about this all day. What would be the highest that I could get my wife to shine in everything that she wants to do, everything that she would love to be expressing and experiencing? What a cool idea. So this is my take on a sort of a phrase, living for the sake of others. Let's step back and see what the picture needs. Sometimes what the picture needs is not what's very comfortable, right? Imagine a table of people waiting to eat. Sometimes what the picture needs is the father figure of that room to say a prayer for the family. I know praying in public could be pretty awkward, but sometimes we got to just get in there and do it. I do it with my daughter all the time. I pray, and now she's 3 years old and wants to disagree with me on everything. And so sometimes she says, no praying, just eating. And I said, no, we're going to pray. I got to hold her hand. Sometimes she doesn't go along with it all the time. Doesn't matter if you feel awkward. So let's take this philosophy and use it for life. What does our family need? What does our family need? Does it need a little more cowbell? I'm just joking. What does our church need? What does the church actually need? Think about that. What does the world need? This, I'm hoping to give even more context on the pillar things that drove me to start the living room. I had to wrestle with this question for a few months before I started it. Does the world need another church? Maybe not. But what the living room can be is a faith community where we learn to grow. What does the world need? I hope the world feels that it needs to grow, to evolve, to transcend, to not get stuck in the cycle of resentment and revenge and tit for tat. And how do we grow? How do we alleviate? And probably even more than that, how do we heal? I mean, we've all got a long line of, right, history or historical pain. How do we heal? So this is something that's very empowering and very inspiring for me to keep the living room in check, right? We need the living room to, what does the world need? Not just, does the world actually need another church? Maybe not. But I hope that we can all take a little step back and feel like, oh, there's a little gap that we can fill here. So I know that, I really have faith and believe that if I can, with you guys, we can work together and heal each other, heal the families, express more love, teach each other how to tap into God's infinite love. That would be amazing, because I believe that people have the power to overcome this world, overcome the anxiety and the hectic and the confusion of the world. I believe that families can make they can make a slice of heaven on this place called Earth, even if it's not there yet as a whole. We can start bringing in fragments of this better place called heaven. We can do that for our kids. So, even if, just as a small takeaway, look, even if our intentions are really good, if our vision's too small and we're just thinking about what I need to do, we could get self-conscious, we could get self-critical, and we may be totally missing opportunities to serve. And we might be very narrow-minded, about what is actually needed out there, right? Maybe we need something that you never thought of before, or that it just sounds too ridiculous to do. So I hope that this message, or this philosophy, stepping back, or front of the bell consciousness, or make others sound better, can be a little bit of a takeaway for you. I've felt that it's making me slowly and surely a better and better family man, and better coworker, and hopefully a better and better ministry as we try to fill the gaps of the world. What can we do to heal? What can we do to grow? And speaking of which, that concludes the message, but I just want to say, please reach out to us. Feel free to. It's right on our website at the bottom of the page. Anything that's on your mind, anything you're going through, any part of your journey you feel stuck with or you're inspired about, I'd love to hear that. I'd love to get inspired by your insights. I'd love to maybe learn about what people are really going through so that our ministry can serve in the best way possible. That's my hope. So by all means, feel free to stay in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you guys. And that's all for this week. Thank you so much, and God bless.